Hello, I'm Jeremy. One of the things that I did today was kind of hash over what it was that I was wanting to do, try to refine it a little bit. And one of the things that I'm doing that I enjoy is having this little word pad up here that's above my head. And one of these topics that I have on them is President Joe Biden and his lies. It's because I completely disagree with this. I think it's just trash that a politician can go around, campaign on these issues, and lie about it. Whenever they get into the office, they can just completely renege on it, change their minds on a whim. I don't have a problem with a politician changing their minds, but they need to have something behind it. They just don't get to just because they want to. It would be something such as an event has happened and now they have to do things differently. That would be okay. It wouldn't be something, well, I've learned something new. I've had new insight. That doesn't cut it. That's just you being lazy or stupid. You not talking about the issue in depth enough is not the fault of the people. You don't get to change your mind. Your ignorance is not an excuse. And this is something that they say in law, that if you go to court and you're before a judge, you don't get to claim ignorance. You can't say, oh, I didn't know that. They still have every right to go after you and to throw the book at you, even though you may not have known legitimately. It's not an excuse. So, same thing. So I came across a couple of videos. I'm going to talk about this one first. So if you think that politicians need to be held accountable, such as websites are pretty cheap. Politicians have more than enough money where they could have a website and they should have an SOP, a standard operating procedure for which that they have to fill out their website. They should all, in other words, look the same. So then that way it doesn't matter whose you're looking at, Republican, Democrat, federal, state, city, county, whatever. They should all look the same. You should know what to do because they're all identical. And one of the features that should be there should be a list of the issues that they're talking about and what side that they're taking and a description as to why. Okay, oh well, I'm standing for abortion on this topic of pro-life, of pro-choice, and here's why. And then you get into office, you don't get to change it. That's what you told the people. You should be held accountable. You can change your mind after your term is over. Again, I mean, there should be some leeway for some circumstances. So here's a great example of this. So if you two think that politicians should definitely have more accountability, it helps me out whenever you do a like, whenever you subscribe, whenever you share this with others, whenever you become a member. I have Patreon and Subscribestar. And to get into it, we'll start with President Joe Biden, his lie count, and it's much higher than this. I'm not going to do every single little thing. Started this on April 8th, 2014. This count is up to 4. On the 8th, he did 3. He said that you can't yell fire in a theater. Free speech says yes, you can. There might be some consequences to that, but yes, you can. Says he can pass legislation overriding the Second Amendment. Biden wrongly denounces constitutional rights in order to force gun control agenda. So I don't know why that's +3 and +2. It should be +2, +2. It's like, no, you cannot override the Second Amendment. There's a way to do it, and there's a constitutional way to do it. It requires the states, not the president. So that is a blatant, flat-out lie. This is something that he's an expert in. He should know all of this, and even if for some reason if he didn't, that's why the president has the presidential cabinet. Those are people who are experts in all of these fields to be able to advise him so he can make good decisions. And then on the 10th, he says there is no border crisis, yet historical records for child crossings are now at the worst that they've ever been in history. Biden's plan failed. This is a disaster, and Biden created it because this wasn't going on with Trump. This has happened several times in history where, man, the day of whenever the new president has come into office, that something has happened. An example of this is whenever Ronald Reagan took office. So on January 20th, 1981, Iran releases American hostages as Reagan takes office. They'd been held for 444 days. There were 52 of them. And so minutes after the president had passed from Jimmy Carter to Ronald Reagan. It's the exact same thing with this. Whenever migrants found out that Trump wasn't in office, they all knew. All the policies were different. It wasn't going to be the same anymore. And so that they could start coming over. Yes, they probably waited a little while just to make sure, of course. I mean, this didn't happen January 20th. But it's like, well, no, this is long enough. He definitely had his policies in place. He made several comments about all this, even during his election, that he was going to do all this. And so it's an obvious lie. There is a border crisis. There's still a border crisis going on. And he lets in migrants that have COVID, and they don't have masks on. They just let them go into the country. So is COVID okay, or is it not? Because if it's so bad and it's so deadly, then we shouldn't be letting these people in. I mean, if anything, at the minimum, we should be doing things such as giving them masks, waiting until they've recovered from it, giving them medical aid or whatever, and then releasing them into the country. But that doesn't make sense regardless, no matter if they have COVID or not. So, and styxhexenhammer here, he's talking about how Joe Biden is lying and reneging on all of these things with his infrastructure bill, that he's brought it down, and that he's not going to do anything about student loans. So I guess a second problem would be, besides me sewing a sweater, aren't there some issues that they know just aren't going to pass at all? So he's here talking about how student loans is never going to get passed through Congress, about paying off all these student loans. I guess you could still go ahead and run on issues that just are completely dead in the water. There would have to be something else to go along with it. You know, what issues are worth the while and which issues aren't, and why. Because if they're really showing up as this is just never going to happen in a billion years, and then they still run on it, then that says something, right? That they're just placating to voters. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Nothing? Because you can't do anything with this? Part of the issue, too, is, okay, well, you didn't get it to go through Congress. Well, there's other things that you could do, right? How else could you help out student loans? How about setting up a charitable organization, being able to help out student loan debt? Lowering the interest rate. Coming up with some program how about meeting it somewhere down the middle? That if a student can pay off so much of their student loan debt, or maybe if the student loan debts are being paid off consistently, they don't miss the payment for like every year, then the government will come in and do 2 payments. When they do that for 10 years, then they pay off whatever's left after 10 years. I mean, it's just left up to your imagination. Maybe if they take a government job that it could be like a 401k, whatever portion that the students are going to pay for their student loan, then the government job will equal that amount. But no, he's not talking about anything. He's just said no. So let's go ahead and add this nonsense. So I need to just desperately sew a sweater for some reason because I keep saying so. I'm going to stop with this. What is today? 5-25. One, Biden cuts back on infrastructure bill, which the bill is just stupid, ridiculously expensive, and it's the same thing. There are other ways to help, but he doesn't try. So he just stops. He doesn't come up with other alternatives. Or other solutions for his running issues. Just quits. Trash. Absolute trash. And we're going to put that up to plus 2 right there. And we also have a video from Tim Pool. He has this article from The Hill where it states that Joe Biden's administration is racist. This one paragraph, I think, kind of sums it up pretty well. President Biden has spoken out often, eloquently, and passionately against the ugly poison of discrimination and racism in our government. So a ruling by a federal district court in Texas this week, particularly jarring. Judge Reed O'Connor found that the Biden administration engaged in systematic gender and race discrimination to implement COVID-19 relief for American restaurants. Cafe owner Philip Greer had claimed in a lawsuit against the Small Business Administration that, while white, he needs the same rescue as minority restaurants under the newly enacted American Rescue Plan Act. It's like, yes, his business got shut down too. Well, because he's white, that just money just magically fell down out of the sky to sustain him as his business got shut down by the government? It's trash. I argue, though, that this never should have happened in the first place. I'll go ahead and read a little bit more. Greer's Ranch Cafe reportedly lost over $100,000 during the pandemic, like many restaurants. Greer was delighted to hear about the restaurant restoration fund approved by Congress. I don't know why. Do you not know who Biden is? However, he soon learned that due to his race, he could not be considered until other applicants were allowed to seek funds. I'm presuming that there should be one more first, that others are allowed to seek funds first. The White House and the Democratic-controlled Congress insisted that various groups should be first in line. Well, there it is. Including women, minorities, and socially and economically disadvantaged people. Well, it's every single... That's him, too. He got shut down, too. The government confirmed that $2.7 billion already has been distributed through the fund, and that there was almost 150,000 pending applications from owners with preferential treatment. As a result, owners like Greer fear not just delayed payments, but the exhaustion of the money allocated under the program. The SBA confirms it already has requests for $65 billion in payments under the fund. Yeah, so they're going to run out. It's because they shut down like well over half the businesses out there, because all these small and pop stores got closed down. It was only the big companies that were allowed to stay open, and they made money like mad. But it's something ridiculous. It's like 70% of businesses in the country are small businesses. So yeah, what's $2.7 billion supposed to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you're one of the few lucky people who got some money, okay, well, good. It still doesn't do anything for you, though, if everything's still locked down, and that's exactly what's going on in these Democratic-ran states, such as California and New York. So I live in Texas, and people have been flocking here like mad because everything's just normal. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, you can. You don't have to, and there are some people who do and some people who don't. If you want to wrap yourself up in a bubble, go knock yourself out. I don't know what your health condition is. I don't know what kind of ailments that you have, what kind of prescriptions that you take, and if your doctor's saying that you need to wrap yourself up in a bubble, I don't care. I'm not telling you what to do, but you're not going to tell me what to do either. So let's go ahead and add this too. So my sweater's almost complete. I am for everybody being treated exactly the same. As closely as you can. I don't know if you can do everybody all 100% the same, because we're not all the same. I'm not like some little baby or some senior citizen. I'm not like someone who's short or someone who's incredibly tall. So as best as can be done. So anything that is any kind of government law or policy or business policy that has any kind of wording against white people, black, Hispanic, Asian, men, women, any kind of characteristic that you have no control over, I'm completely against it. And again, as I will say many times, I don't care who had the cure for cancer. And I don't want some brilliant person who might be black or Hispanic or Asian to be held back because of the color of their skin. That's ridiculous. If they're capable of finding the cure for cancer, that is exactly what I want them to do. More power to them. But you're not going to tell me that somebody's better, though, just because they're black or white or young or old or whatever. No, I want proof. What have you done? Show me what you're working for. Show me the results that you've done. Show me that at least you've gone through a few of the steps, such as going through school and having a degree in medicine, and you understand, some of these things with cancer. The more that you show me, the more I'm willing to support you. Oh. So what does that do? That puts us up at a 3 count. So 3 plus the 4, we are at 7. What about you? Do you know of any other of Joe Biden's lies? So I don't know if you can see this. Let's take a look here. Those are the links to the videos where whoever is talking about these issues. Now, I understand that this is, in a way, a little bit of hearsay. I did not specifically look this up as much because I can't fact check all of this stuff. Whenever this website starts getting built in, that'll be a different story. Whenever I can hire people to help me out with this, that'll be a different story. And it'll become more and more verified. There's going to be checks and balances with all of this stuff. Right now, the only thing I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to change anyone's minds on anything. I'm just trying to do one thing. And I'm trying to show that there are lies that are going on. And even if all of this is wrong, that maybe Joe Biden is going to get student loans taken care of and the infrastructure built, or the Hill is wrong, or Tim Pool, or whatever, there's lies. And I'm tired of it. Somebody somewhere is lying. And I know what to do with it. So if you're tired of being lied to, if you're tired of wasting your time, because lies don't do anything for you at all, just nothing, then give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, become a member. Got Patreon, subscribe star. I know you may not appreciate YouTube or whatever, but it is what I have right now. It's how you help me. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.